Hello and welcome to level 161 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, here with my compadre, David.
What up?
David, how is your evening going so far?
It's going all right. We did some shopping today,
Hmm.
spent what it seems on nothing,
Yeah,
$300. The cart
yeah,
was even full.
yeah.
What? It's crazy out here. But
It is.
that's it. So we did that. Uh, I feel good. I got a my car payment thing in the mail, right? And it tells you how much you have to pay this month and how much you have left. And I made it, so my next payment is going to be my last payment. So my
Nice.
car, my brand new car that I
Uh
bought
huh.
off a brand new lot, will be paid off
Nice.
after 4 years.
Oh, nice. That is a speedy payoff.
Yes,
Good stuff.
I'm so glad I can
Yeah.
save some money now more a month, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a relief
Oh
and
yeah.
also like a milestone. I've paid
Mm-hmm.
off cars before, but I've never paid off a new car.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's feeling good.
That's a great thing. I think I paid off a used car last year. Used car.
See, that's good. Still good.
But it's
It's
still
great.
it still feels good when you're like,
It
hey,
does. Like,
cleared, and you're
oh,
like,
I don't have to spend this every month anymore.
exactly.
Let's
I don't
go. Let's go.
exactly. I don't need to spend this. So you know what? I'm fine if Netflix wants to raise my subscription price 3 times in a year. Because guess what, buddy? I paid off my car.
That's
You can't stop me.
well, how's your day going?
It is going all right. Been doing a lot of work out in the yard. Picked up a bunch of dirt, plant some flowers and some plants, and
Hmm.
do all this stuff. I remember years ago, I said to someone, I said, "You know who's lame?" And they said, "Who's?" First, they were like, "Why are you talking to me?" And I was like, "Hey, you know it's lame? People that go to Lowe's to get stuff for their yard. Those are the lamest people in the world. Oh, I'm gonna walk into Lowe's and spend my money. Well, I walked into Lowe's earlier and spent my money and got
Hey,
some dirt and some
we
plants.
all become lame at some point.
It's yeah,
It's almost like a passage.
yeah, yeah. Try to fight it. There's some things I'm
You
still
do.
fighting it on,
You
but
do.
yeah, it's yep. But so that's what I did. I spent a obscene amount of money on dirt and plants. Um, so that's kind of how my day went. Uh,
All right, nice.
yeah, ladies, gentlemen,
That's good for
chickens.
your yard.
It is
Sorry.
good for the yard. Yard's going to look
It's good
nice.
for your yard.
It's going to look nice. We got a
It
little
is.
garden we got going. It's going to be good. Trying to save some money on some, yes, gardening. Try to save some money on some vegetables or something here. Something's got to give. Can't
Yeah,
raise.
I want to plant this year. I want to
Yeah.
build a greenhouse, to be honest. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
looked like some up, and just like not they're small. It's like I don't know if I can even fit in there, and it's like $3,500. Are you kidding me? No,
Yeah.
I'll build my own.
Oh yeah. You
I
build
don't
one.
know
I was
how,
looking
but
into
I'll
that too.
figure it out.
I was looking into that too. Look, I got the If you want, I got the plastic. Don't spend any money on plastic because I accidentally bought a box full of plastic and I haven't used it since because I planned on doing a greenhouse.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens, we hope that you are having a fine afternoon. Maybe you went out and spent money on what feels like nothing to sustain, because that's just the times we're living in. Maybe you're out there gardening, doing some nice stuff there, tilling to the vegetables. I don't know if you how you'd be able to, especially in Michigan, since we've had like 3 frosts in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
But maybe you can do that. We've got an interesting topic, I think, for this level of the pod that we're going to excited to get our ideas out there and hear from you. But of course, before we get there, we're going to start where we always start, and that is talking about the games that we are playing. So, who wants to lead this games that we are playing on first? I mean, I can go.
sure.
Um, okay. The games I have been playing are pretty similar to last level. which
Okay.
has been, some farming simulator. I actually did get a chance to play actually a smidge. I think I talked about Dragon's Dogma 2, getting back
Mm-hmm.
into that. I was able to play a
Mm-hmm.
smidge of Dragon's Dogma 2. So I've been
Okay,
able to
we're
get back into that.
moving.
Yeah, yeah. But a lot of it has been either farming simulator or it's been trying to look it up right now. I actually can't even remember what I said the main game I was playing
That
last level was.
that is
But
funny.
yeah, but it is PC. What was it here? And I'm pretty sure was it a strategy game? Oh, I did actually. I talked another one game I talked about playing that I did play a little bit was Bannerlord. Played a little bit of that. So yeah, that's
All
it's
right, you're starting to move around a little bit now.
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
been a little bit of that. Trying to get
Let's-
going, trying to get out of the farming simulator rut, I guess. For lack of a better word. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna try to just jump into some more stuff. Obviously, well, the last game I
Mhm.
talked about playing that I had beat was Freedom Fighters. So obviously not playing Freedom Fighters anymore.
Yeah,
Those are the
yes,
ones.
that makes sense.
Yeah, those are the ones I went to. So that's basically what I've been playing so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't played much actually. I've been going to like bed instead of playing until the late hours.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
I've become lame. I'm going to bed.
I feel you. I feel
Uh,
you.
but I've been playing Marvels. New season starts in 2 days, and they're bringing some huge dinosaur thing and Cyclops this season.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And I've been playing some finals. I played a game of Apex, and I'm just like, eh, eh.
Yeah.
You know, I want to like it again. I enjoyed it, but I don't, and it's upsetting. But
Yeah.
that's what I've been playing.
It's starting to turn into a have you gotten to a point where you're questioning how did I put so many hours into it, or do you still understand why you put so many hours
Oh
into it?
yeah,
It just
I totally understand,
yeah,
but it's not there anymore. I can't put those hours into it anymore.
the magic is gone.
Yeah,
Do you think the magic's gone?
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's how that's not exactly how I felt with Freedom Fighters, where I felt like the mirage was gone. I felt like I I I remember this being so much the game being so much better than it actually is. But the experience and how it made me feel was the same, you know.
Hmm.
Um they should hey, EA, I mean, I know you guys are just terrible and you've gotten worse. Maybe think about remaking Freedom Fighters. It's it seems like an easy, straightforward game to remake. I don't know how you guys will handle the whole Russian thing now, but look at it. Just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with our games that we've been playing out of the way, it's time to get to the main topic. And this topic was kind of inspired by a headline here that I'm reading off of PC Gamer. The headline simply reads, "No, Eric Barone, which is the developer of Stardew Valley, is not adding infidelity to Stardew Valley, although he did briefly consider letting you ruin marriages, to Grandpa's deep disappointment." And so this is kind of an interesting little bit of like, hey, we, the idea of morality, right, or the choices and the impressions and thoughts of morality, and kind of led to like an interesting thought around the gamification of morality in games. So I kind of wanted us to kind of like maybe talk about maybe our thoughts on that, as well as it can even just be thinking about certain games that we think are like prime examples of gamifying morality and how they
Hmm.
play with morality, or and just yeah, kind of like what that means. Because I feel like gaming, at least more kind of modern or recent game, has always and it's increasingly so played with morality, either from a gamification way or the way that
Hmm.
it presents its narrative, right? So
Right.
I think there's some cool places to kind of go in discussing morality in gaming, and I know that in our kind of like in our pre-discussion, I don't know where you want to start because I know you had brought up some specific games in regards
Hmm.
to like how they mess with morality, but you also had brought up an interesting perspective on the like the actual just existence of certain games or game genres and how they might actually push and at least mess with the idea of morality, I guess, in some sense, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, I guess we throw it out there. So, like, what you're referring to, I said that first person, well, any third or first person shooters, right? They're just morally bad, right? Because it's pretty much bloodbaths.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the games I play, at least, battle royales, you're throwing 60, 130, whatever the match may be, people into an area and they have to kill each other or they die,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in Apex, for more specifically, it could be for the other games too, none of these people are inherently like bad guys
Mm-hmm.
or good guys, like there's some lore, but like usually if you're fighting off people, it's because they're bad people.
Yeah.
And in here they're not. But also another thing that I was saying, it might also help people. There's all these articles and hearsays about video games being bad and they cause violence and this and that and the other. But it they also help people. I feel because like there's things in the games that I want to do, but I can't do either because I don't have the time, I don't have that sense of morality, or I don't want to do it for real, but I want to kind of feel like I'm doing it. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
farming simulator, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be out in the sun and cut 10 acres of grass. But if I'm chill, relaxed in my recliner chair here and mowing 10 acres on here, I'm so much better. I have the right
Mm-hmm.
temperature, stuff like that. So video games,
Mm-hmm.
I feel, are also good, even if you're doing bad things morally.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's, yeah, yeah, you go ahead.
No, yeah, yeah. That was yeah. So I thought that was an interesting idea. Like my so you have like the idea, yeah, you kind of have the ideas a little bit trying to unpack all of this because you can have the perspective of a lot of first person shooter games. And when I'm thinking about like FPSs a lot, I'm thinking a lot about like COD, for instance,
Hmm.
where like from a story standpoint, you are being presented a framing of a narrative, right? This is the story as presented to you. And this story requires you to kill other people. And whether those are people that are playing online or those are people that are in the story that are AI controlled, you are to be killing other people,
Right.
right? And the idea is that your reason for doing it is noble or it makes sense, right? There's a propagandization that kind of happens there, and there's a lot of moral and ambiguity. And I think that's for the game that's been the case, and it continues to be the case. I think obviously the big talking point we've kind of talked about it before was obviously that airport scene from Modern
I
Warfare
was
2,
gonna
right?
bring that up.
Like
Yes.
that is yeah, like the framing of that. What is that, right? Like how moral is that? You understand what I'm saying? Because you're you're killing innocent people. I think it kind of at least gives you the perception of that. But is there any innocence in the people that are quote unquote your enemy? You know, um, that's an interesting place to kind of have that whole like moral, kind of moral thing that happens there in just the existence of the genre. Now, obviously, COD isn't the only FPS. Halo, you might think like, hey, they're aliens, it's a little bit different. But you can also look at the standpoint of, well, there's sentient life and they have their own code of morality and thoughts and different things like that. And how moral is what I'm doing actually? You know,
Yeah.
um, so it's an interesting thing to say, kind of like, hey, there's. I'm even thinking about like playing Wolfenstein right now. You might think like, well, Wolfenstein, you're killing Nazis in Wolfenstein. It's like, right, but I don't know if all these Nazis were like, hey, I'm super duper Nazi, or if some of them felt like they might have been forced into it. And they don't actually believe in this, but they just have to do it. And then here I come, and I freaking put a bayonet in the back of their skull. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of different things that if you want to go deep into it and kind of think about morality in that sense, FPSs and like you said, third person is kind of these games that are like that. They kind of there's a little bit of moral ambiguity in just the game existing itself, in the world that it puts you in, and how it frames you as the hero. You know what I'm saying? So that all by itself is interesting from a moral standpoint.
Yeah. And then something I was kind of thinking about, you mentioned how these games like tell a story almost in a propaganda kind of sense, depending. And I was thinking for like The Last of Us Part 2, right? A lot of people weren't fans of it because of it started telling two stories,
Mm-hmm.
between Abby and between Ellie,
Mm-hmm.
and with the passing of Joel and everything, after you learn why she did it, you're like, okay, I can understand. Some people just hate it in general, but like, what if we had Abby's story in the first game too? They never met, but then they
Right.
meet, because we feel for Joel and Ellie. We want Joel to live. We want to see their story because we were fed their story
Mm-hmm.
from when it first started happening with Joel and then during with Ellie and Joel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we have thoughts about them. We feel connected to them, and then part 2 comes out, and all this happens. You're like, what is going on? Now you hate this Abby person, but then you find out that it was her dad. You know, sorry
Mm-hmm.
for any spoilers. It's been out for 10 years now, and
Almost.
it you're right. You feel like the good guy because you're playing who you is told is the good guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you don't know all of it, so you only feel this type of way.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's a. I mean, like obviously there's some games that kind of play off of that. We lean into like storytelling in regards to again progressing and how they play off of morality, and obviously like Last of Us Part Two plays off morality in a different way than let's say Part One does. Part One explores morality as well, but Part Two does it I think a bit more intimately because it's really with these central characters we really grew to love and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another game that actually does it, I don't know if you could say it does it, if it does it very profoundly or if it does it very well. But the very first Assassin's Creed, part of the reason that it's my favorite is because it kind of does that. It gets you in the frame in the beginning when you're Altair and you are in the Assassin's Creed that these are noble people, right? And then um, once you realize that the leader of the Assassin's Creed and all these different things that there's they're not as noble and they have their own kind of greed that's being led, you basically have a deconstruction of your faith within this organization that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of tells you like the killing that you thought was noble wasn't all that noble, and you actually are just kind of a murderer, right? And so
Yeah.
like it's like it's a cool thing to kind of get that deconstruction happening as being part of the game and the narrative. Um, so yeah, I think like the question of a genre or just playing games in general that kind of has that component to it is interesting in itself. But also, I really enjoy games that do that from a story standpoint, where they're you know kind of just deconstructing the idea of oh hey what's right versus wrong. You're the hero versus are you actually the hero or something like that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and so it's really cool to do that. I mean, and that's so we're talking about like like those are games that are like doing it from a narrative standpoint. The other game I think about, and I've talked about this before, Spec Ops: The Line, kind of like a psychological thriller horror game, but it examines morality and war in that way. That's interesting. It's the story that's actually having you question and reveal morality in certain things. And this is mostly just obviously it points to the morality of war and the morality of different things like that, but it actually kind of points to the morality of yourself as well as your character, right? Your character
Yeah.
is an unreliable narrator in this game. And so it makes it an interesting journey and conclusion of certain things and how you explore morality and different stuff like that. Um, so I mean, you have all these different things, but there's also, I think, in the case of like Stardew Valley and a couple other ones, I think a lot of our exposures to morality, when we think about morality in video games, we're thinking about the gamification of it, right? And so, um, I think a lot about like you mentioned, one game that pops to mind for me is Grand Theft Auto, how that plays with it,
Yeah.
and I'll let you take that one. I was thinking more of like RPGs, for instance.
Hmm.
So one of the things I was thinking about, like profoundly sticks out to me, is like the Elder Scrolls um series throughout. I mean, at least I can remember at least for 3, 4, 5 for sure, gamifies morality, right? You can choose whether or not to kill innocent people, and you may not
Right.
know.
Yeah,
You
I
may
was gonna
not
bring that up because
know.
I wasn't sure what games it were.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was.
in all
Sorry.
of them, right? And you in some people you kill thinking that they're bad, and some people you kill knowing that they're innocent. It's just that, hey, it's basically like you're like kind of like, hey, if you want to be down with the gang, you gotta put a bullet in somebody, right? And it's kind of like this thing of like, oh, what do I do? I still want to be down with your crew, but this
Right.
is an innocent
Right.
person, right? So, um, they gamify moral choices and different things like that. It's really interesting. I think I can't remember for sure. I'm pretty sure that Mass Effect, right? BioWare, they game right. They especially going back to like Kotar and all those, right? They gamify morality choices. Um, and so it's something else that gaming has always kind of played with morality in that way. But those are like very direct gamification of morality. But
Yes.
you mentioned like Grand Theft Auto, and kind of like I thought about Red Dead Redemption too. Obviously, the
Ah,
Rockstar
yes,
games,
yes, Red
they kind
Dead.
of play into that morality a little bit differently.
Yeah, because with the Grand Theft Auto 6, you can play the story and you have to do the bad things in the story, but like you could literally follow the laws on the street. You don't have to speed, you don't have to kill anybody, you don't have to do anything else that doesn't involve what you have to do in the story, right? But
Hmm.
everyone loves to. Everyone loves to
Yeah.
speed around, steal the cars, kill anybody they want, get rocket launchers, blow up everybody. Like it's a thing to do because at least most people they don't actually want to do that, but it's fun or funny or it's
Yeah.
blowing off steam. People are angry, want to release anger, and that's
Yeah.
how they release it. It
Right.
might not be the healthiest. It might be healthier to scream and punch in a pillow. You know, therapy, what have you. But some people
Yeah.
can't afford those things. And I was
Hmm.
thinking of another game, Detroit Become Human. At certain parts you are given these few options, and obviously after you play the game, you can redo it and pick the different options. But like you
Hmm.
essentially pick an option you're most comfortable with, and it depends on your morality. Like I can't remember an exact scenario, but it's like let this android escape or turn in this android, right? You have
Hmm.
these two options, and morally you're supposed to turn it in. That's the law. That's what you're supposed to do. Turn in the android, blah blah. Or you can see that they have some sort of maybe not a soul or feeling, but you can tell that they know that they're in trouble and they don't feel right, and
Hmm.
you can see they're not hurting any. They don't seem like the evil hurting type, and you can let them go. That's
Hmm.
a huge morality standpoint.
Yeah.
Do I follow my gut or do I follow what I'm supposed to, the law?
Hmm.
It puts you between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That reminds me of like I mentioned like those. Yeah, because the instance of Detroit Become Human kind of reminds me, if we're talking about like but again, the Bethesda RPGs do a lot of that moralizing, and I mentioned Elder Scrolls. I think the
Mhm.
moralizing aspects are actually more profound in the Fallout series, and I think that's due to it focuses on that more because I think it's a more modern society. Perhaps maybe they just examine that component of it more. And the whole thing, that the whole reason fallout happens is because it's nuclear fallout. So there was a choice made there that kind of, but it kind of reminded like what you were saying, like, there's certain choices where there's the lawful thing, and then there's the quote unquote moral thing, right? And maybe you make that choice instead. But the game, by giving you that choice, is basically trying to make you make that choice and just put you in a situation where you have to
Right.
think about it, right?
Yep.
And again, like, games have, I feel like even games that aren't just kind of straightforward RPGs, do that. They kind of put you in those situations where you're having to make those decisions. Even the game, I mean, it's technically defined as an open world RPG. I would define it as maybe just an open world action adventure, but like a Ghost of Tsushima, anybody that's played that, there's
Mm-hmm.
a decision you have to make in the end of the game, and it causes a dilemma of sorts, right? So, games have increasingly kind of playing with this aspect of gamifying moral choices. The thing that but some of these games are all about the sandbox of morality, and so thinking
Yes.
about like
Yes.
what's got me thinking most about that is when I'm thinking about my own like exploration of games that I've played that have the sandbox of morality. The two that come to mind for me instantly is going to be the Guild 2 Renaissance, because there's an
Okay.
open door of morality of things you can do there. You can lie, you can cheat, you can hire people to assassinate political opponents, right? You can become, which I've tried to do, become the judge or the mayor, and then basically somehow blackmail all your political opponents into going to prison, right? And like you can, like, those are choices you can make, right?
Right.
Um, I think about, games like I mentioned, like Norland, which is kind of like a game designed around the ambiguity of morality, your characters being allowed to be as much of a deviant as they want, or as pious and proper as they want, and what all that means. But then another game that instantly jumped to mind for me is Crusader Kings 3. The game
Okay.
did not tell me to kill those babies,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
right? But I had an objective in mind that required their sacrifice. So,
I like how
so
you word that.
exactly, right? Their willing sacrifice. Um,
Uh,
so, so again, that's a game that gives the sandbox for morality, and kind of like what you were saying with Grand Theft Auto 2, right? Like, I think some people do that. I'm kind of thinking back when you were talking to that. I was like recalling back in the GTA 3 days where you could put in cheats to make pedestrians fight, and then also put in the cheats to give pedestrian weapons, and it would just cause utter chaos. People would just try
yeah.
to kill each other all the time. People had rocket launchers and shotguns and M16s, and you would be driving down the street, and then someone would just blow up your car with a rocket launcher, just because
That
they wanted to, right?
is
I think
hilarious.
I think there's something cathartic about that. Like you were saying, it's like a release. I think it's the
Yeah.
idea that maybe that we feel like the world itself is so chaotic that if we can produce a world of which emulates that chaos, but we're able to traverse it, we're able to navigate it, that somehow shows us that we can control or have control over chaos. And perhaps we'll feel like we have control over the chaos in our real lives. I don't know if it's that deep, but it could be something like that.
I think a little
Um,
bit. I
but
just thought of another one actually. A
yeah,
whole the need for speeds. Street racing is illegal,
it is.
but
Yeah.
some people love cars and some people love to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
played a few of them, but nothing beats Underground 2 for me
Oh
personally.
yeah. Underground
But
is great.
the most morality one, I guess, would be Need for Speed Most Wanted, because you're literally chased by cops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
But it gives people, that option. They get to feel like what it's to be chased by the police and where, like just the whole experience of where you're running at with these turns, that turn, the
Mm-hmm.
city you're in. It gives you these experiences without having to actually do any of it and get in trouble and destroy people's lives and damage people's stuff.
Right. Right.
You
You
know?
wanna if you wanna go, Fast and Furious. They're basically saying, hey, if you want to do Fast and Furious, don't go out there and buy a beat up Honda Civic. Just buy a Mitsubishi Eclipse in Need for Speed Underground, and then just trick it out, and then do drag racing and anything else you want to do there. Don't go out there and do all this crazy stuff because there's people out there like, oh yeah, man, I want to get a Honda Civic and put a spoiler on it. And they're like, no, don't do that. Just buy our game, get yourself a Honda Civic or a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and then just race it in here. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. Crusader Kings 3 is kind of the same thing. Hey, don't run for office and become a fascist there. Just buy Crusader Kings 3, pick a little country, and just become a fascist in the game, right? Don't do it in real life. Just do it in the game. Yeah, but it's all those games, kind of like those games like the Need for Speeds and even more like the Crusader Kings or something like that. There are games that offer these sandboxes for us to navigate morality and how we want to pursue it and different things like that. So the last thing is kind of, I was wondering if you had, because I've got, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, a lot of games that I remember making distinct moral choices with that I like that just sit with me. I'm wondering if you have any experiences like that for games that you've played, where it's not even like maybe a gamified instance of a moral choice. So like one example I can give, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but when I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and you can walk into a house. I was Arthur, and I was walking into a house. In this house was a son and a father, and they were talking, and I heard it playing. And in the cinematic camera, it cut in over the shoulder, and it was clearly a way to organically stumble into a side mission, right? So I entered the house. I heard them talk. I stayed hidden as they talked because my thinking is that if they walked in and saw me while they were talking, it would trigger a cutscene. I stayed hidden while they talked. They finished talking. I walked in while they weren't talking anymore. The father and son look at me. I shoot the father in the head. Right? I just do that.
I just do it.
The son, and I don't know why Rockstar did this. The son looks and reacts to me in complete and utter horror. Like he's emoting. His face and his body language is that of someone that has been traumatized and terrorized. And I shoot him in the head.
Oh.
And then
double down.
And then I take Arthur, I walk out the house. I pause the game. I turn off the console, and I have not played the game since. Okay.
That
so
you deciding to do that really took it on you.
Yeah. It was because of again everything, all of it, and I was like, what am I doing? What kind of person am I? I have not played the game since.
Digital bloodline.
Exactly, right? I'm like, I just killed innocent people. Now, I've always killed innocent people in games, but in that particular instance, it felt even more so, to a point that I'm telling you, I own the game. And I have not played it since. This was probably, when did Red Dead Redemption 2 come out? Like 2020, 2020, right? 2021? No, way after that. I think
it came out on the 360. Or did it not? Or is that
not 2?
Not 2. The original did. Okay.
The original did. Let's see here. I don't know. Maybe it did. Oh no, it did. I guess it did actually. Yeah, came out 2018. Man, that shows how old their games are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it came out 2018. I think I played the game probably in 2019, 2020. I think.
Oh, Xbox One.
Yeah. Xbox One. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have not played that game in 5 or 6 years. Since that, I haven't touched it. Prior to that, I put 40-something hours into it. And then I did that, and then I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, but that shows your character, like in real life.
Sure, yeah,
A little bit, because that still sits with you.
It does.
Even if it doesn't take part of your day, or you don't feel anything over it anymore. But when that thought comes up, you're like, yeah, I did that.
And I tell you, I've always planned to go back to that game to play it. I tell you what, when I start playing that game, I'm not going in that damn house again. I'll tell you that much.
That's right.
Okay? I don't know where that house is. If I even think that if I start hearing the same voice, I'm like, nope, turning away. Get on the horse, going some other way. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I probably couldn't even tell you of every single instance I've probably done something like that. But like the things I remember the most is like in Resident Evil 4 in the original. I don't know if you can do it in the remake. You can shoot the weapons dealer or whatever in the beginning of the game. You meet him by like behind a house or whatever, and you can shoot him back there. And then he's not in the game. You're just stuck with whatever you find. I did that. I didn't beat the game after that. I was like, I'm gonna have to restart this. Twisted Metals, specifically 2. I don't know or remember if it's in the other ones, but you're there killing people as is, but they would have these little people, and if you hit them, they would scream and blood would, go everywhere in PlayStation graphics. And I'm like, oh, there's a person. And I would purposely go after him and run him over, and but like I couldn't do that in real life.
Right.
I couldn't. But Twisted Metal 2 all day. Where's this person? I'm gonna run him over.
Yeah, no, yeah, I feel you. I mean, like going back to like the R2, like the Red Dead example. It's not like I wasn't killing people. I was killing left and right, buddy. Just out there. I was just out there. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason that specific thing got me. Another kind of like, I guess, moral example of like a gamified morality in a game that kind of sits with me is Far Cry 4. I think Far Cry 4 does a great job. At least for me, it was impactful. When you're playing Far Cry 4, now there's a option earlier in the game where you can actually just kill pagan men. Actually not kill pagan men, and you just beat the game. And that's like, okay, whatever. But the other 2 options at the end is, I forgot that there's 2 characters that you're helping in the resistance. There's a female character and there's a male character. The female character basically wants the country of, I believe it's called Karat. I might be mistaken though. She wants to turn it into a narco state because they grow these plants there that they can turn into drugs and it can make everyone money. She wants to turn it into a narco state. So she wants to turn it into Pablo Escobar, Colombia, whatever. The guy is a religious fundamentalist, and he wants to turn it into a theocracy. You can choose one or the other.
Right? Is bad choices.
That is bad. They are objectively bad choices. So you have to stick with one. And the thing that makes it, to me, the thing that sits with the most is that they didn't leave a possibility. Like of these options, neither of them are unrealistic. There exists in the world narco states, and they are terribly oppressive to the people that live there. And there exists in the real world theocracies, and they are incredibly oppressive to the people that are not in power classes, and specifically this theocracy, and a lot of theocracies are really oppressive towards women. So when you make a choice, something's happening there, right? Like that's what you're leaving in your wake. I remember my choice. I went with the narco state because women wouldn't be especially oppressed, and I just love cartel stuff. I just love cartel stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna let you guys cook. You guys can just become a drug dealing narco state, and then you're cool there, right? I'm not going to let you be this kind of crazy oppressed theocracy. Um, but that's another one that sits because again, there's no good choices, right? There's which one are you the most okay living with?
Right.
That's basically what the game presents you with. And so you have to make that choice, but you aren't happy with either of them. If you could say, hey, this is happy, bubbly fairy tale goody goody place now, you would maybe choose that. And they're like, no, either this is a narco state or it's a theocracy. So which one do you want? Which kind of pain you want to leave? But that's another one that I think about. It's one of the reasons why I love that, of all the multiple reasons. Obviously, Pagan Man, great antagonist, all the different things. But that's one of the things I really love about that game is the kind of bad choice. You can either have a bad choice or you can have a bad choice. Which one do you want? It's like, well, I'll pick this bad choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any other kind of games or any other things that came to mind when we're talking about the morality in video games and how they handle this?
Nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah. I don't. The only one I have, and the reason I remember this is because my mom gave me crap over it. Was I think my fiance gave me a little bit of crap on this too. Was catching people in Pal World. Apparently, it's frowned upon. You can capture pals, but you shouldn't capture people. So that was the only one.
Why does it give me the option?
Well, the game definitely shames you for trying to do it, but they also say if you want to do it, you can do it. But if you do it, you suck.
That's funny.
It's like all right, I'll take it. I want to see how this works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. Morality in video games.
Okay.
We're talking through some interesting stuff. We want to hear, folks. We want to hear your thoughts on morality in video games. What's your thoughts about the moral ambiguity of it? Whether it's the perception of like the FPSs, like what's the moral ambiguity of FPSs? You are technically shooting other people in the face. How do you feel about that? Or other things. What's your favorite gamification of moral choice? Right. Again, I think the Fallout series lends really well to that. Like there's some moral choices you have to make in that game, different stuff like that. Yeah, let us know. That means we are getting near the end of the podcast, which means it's time for final thoughts. We can offer a thought that's either related or unrelated to the podcast episode. So, who wants to offer a final thought first?
I'll go.
You want to go?
Yeah.
All
right. So, Emily's cousin likes to just buy things. She, quote unquote, she has a problem, right? She likes to shop, then she gets a lot of stuff, and she's like, all right, I don't want it, and then she gives stuff away. She got these 3 rock things. I don't know if they're in a show, but yeah. So here's a Snorlax.
Just Snorlax,
right?
Sure.
And just a solid piece of rock carved, and then one of Gengar.
It's a Gengar.
Has the spikes and everything on his back.
Yeah.
And then you have the big boy, of course. You have Charizard.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool. I didn't expect anything like this to exist when I probably should, because Pokemon is in and on everything at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought these were really cool. They're kind of heavy. You definitely don't want one of these thrown at you, but they're not super heavy. If it feels like a rock. Isn't that a commercial? I don't know. Either way, I thought these were really cool, and I thought, I appreciated it, and I might have to find a Cubone one.
Your Cubone one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my final thought.
Well, man, for one, I can appreciate that all the Pokemon are the thicker ones. Okay, those are all the thick ones.
Yeah.
Okay, there's not, you don't have a yoked up Machamp or something, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all thick boys. It's Snorlax, it's Gengar, and this is Zard. You know what I'm saying? It's I definitely appreciate that. That was pretty cool though. Um,
Yeah, I loved it.
yeah, and it's like just like a are they like from the same rock? It looks like the same almost kind
I
of
It does. It's the same kind of rock. I don't know if it's the
yeah
same rock,
yeah.
but yeah, it's weird. White
Yeah,
and black and gray. I'm not even sure what kind of rock or stone it is, but they're really cool.
yeah, it's cool. That's cool. My final thoughts, somewhat related but not completely related to the topic of this episode, is that myself, my fiance, my cousin, Big Beer Josh, and his girlfriend, we completed our watch through a couple of weeks ago of Attack on Titan. And
Really?
yes, and it
Okay.
was one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And
I've heard it's pretty brutal on the emotions.
yeah, and I kept trying to figure out what's this feeling I'm feeling about it. And then I was like, it's sadness. Why am I feeling sad about it? Am I sad it's over? Am I sad? Like, why am I sad about it? And I figured out that I was sad about it because it's sad. That's why. Um,
Oh,
there,
wait, I'm sad because I'm
there's nothing
sad?
else. Yeah, there's
Dang.
nothing else really to it. It is a sad, tragic ending. Um, there is the moments of joy in that show are fleeting. Um, there's not a lot of them. It is traumatic and it is heavy and it is sad.
Hmm.
It is also great. It is one of the great shows. Period. Um, the way it chooses to explore certain themes and how it explores it and the different kind of little nuggets. My cousin Josh had seen the show a couple of times before, so he was kind of like our guide of, hey, here's a little, nugget here, here's a little teaser here.
Okay.
This is what this is. We watch an episode and then he say, hey, you see this episode? Episode 15 in season 3? Like, yeah. Now let's go back to episode 2 of season 1, and you'll see how they teased it and kind of connecting these different dots and stuff. So we were kind of able to get an idea on it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it is the reason it kind of attaches is because at some point the show mostly shows you the perspective of one place, and at some point it switches to show you the perspective of the other that
Hmm.
has been considered the enemy, and it basically is trying to tell you that, hey, these places aren't so different. Now, I would argue, no, they are. One place is the place where our heroes live, and the other place is a genocidal ethnic state that's trying to kill them. And those are objective facts. But
That's
I understand what you're going for. I understand what you're going for.
uh,
Yeah, but it's really interesting. And so it was kind of the same thing. I was thinking about it when you were talking about how a game might try to show you something one way and then you see it a different way, and that's the moral switch it does on you. That that
mhm.
that anime does the exact same thing at a certain point in the show. It does the moral switch, and it tries to do the moral switch. And like I said, it does it.
That's
I think
interesting.
to
I've never heard that part
yeah.
of that anime. I just hear,
Well, I
it's
don't.
really good and this and that, but
Yeah, I don't think it does it a great effect because again,
mm,
we we know what this other place like what their ideology is.
right.
But yeah, it's really interesting. So that's my final thought, man.
All
Great
right.
show, sad. I don't know if I want to go back to it. We were kind of debating like,
Yeah.
hey, do we want to? Is this possibly a show we want to watch? My fiance and I are going to read the mangas. We're going to get the mangas eventually and read them. But it was kind of like, hey, is this a show we want to go
Okay.
back to and watch? And
Hmm.
it's like, hey, look, one of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump. I don't go back and watch it because that in the last 30 minutes of that movie is it's the biggest bummer in the world. I don't want to watch the last 30 minutes of that. I'll watch the whole like if you want to get like I'll watch it up to the point where it starts to get really sad and
Hmm.
then I'm gonna have to stop. I can't do no more.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of Scrubs. Have you seen Scrubs?
Yep.
Okay. So, well, just the original seasons, not that weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good show. There's ups and downs. There's this lesson. There's funny. There's sad. Whatever. But that last episode, nothing kicks me in the feels harder than that episode. I bawl my
Yeah.
eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah, I feel you, man.
Oh, oh,
How
nine
can they do it?
seasons of greatness or eight
I know, right?
seasons, and then
Yeah,
bam, you're like, oh, then you start watching it again, and you know it's coming.
you know it's coming. Yeah, and
It's
it's like
why am
I'm
I
not gonna
doing this
do
to
this.
myself?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna do this to myself. I'm not gonna do this to myself. I don't know what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's 100. Yeah, so dope. But the thing is that it's like it's so good. I mean, it's so freaking good.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Attack on Titan is basically it's watching. It's multiple episodes of just watching these kids watch everyone that they love die, and then it's like end. It's like, okay, great. That
Okay,
was. I feel super uplifted.
that was productive.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's my final thought though. Leads us
All
to
right.
the end of level 161 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, share the podcast on the socials and your preferred podcast service. If you want to support us, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, buy merch, Teespring store. Got shirts and hats and stuff. Other way you can do that, we've got a membership, a patron, $2 membership. Join us there for access to the Patreon, thank you credits in the video uploads that we do on YouTube of the episodes. And yeah, just we greatly appreciate it.
We do. We
That
do.
is, yeah, that is it for me. David, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Um, peace.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next level.